Hello and greetings. Welcome to our first Roundtable Panel, GatherVerse North America Day 2 Tech for Humanity Summit. First of all, I'd love to really appreciate Christopher Lafayette for such a great introduction to today, and I believe he had so many questions. And with me, I have a roster of expert leaders who are going to answer some of the questions that Christopher asked. And we're going to hear some voices from various continents in the world. And our topic for this roundtable is when machines contribute, what remains uniquely human? Panelists, I ask you to kindly mute your mics until called upon. And with that said and done, can we get started? All right, yes, you can get started. That's a very good sign there. And we are going to start with a quick, brief introductions of each one of you. And I will start with you, Dr. Satish, and I will move all the way around and conclude with you, Maritza, where you're close to me. So, Dr. Satish, over to you. Tell us who you are and why you're here, and be as brief as you can. Let's go.
Sure. Myself, I am Dr. Satish Kumar Rangali, and I completed my doctorate program last year from Judson University, Illinois. I came to this event because I would like to meet different people and to learn different unique things. I'm attending this event probably from last to one and a half month probably on different events. I'm getting to know different kind of people, different kind of tech stack that is coming up, and different understanding, different perspectives I'm able to get in.
Oh, wow. We welcome you back once again. Camila Sanders, nice to see you again. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. So I am Camila Sanders, as you said. I'm an ecosystem builder and global strategist, CEO of Greater Than Equal, and I work at the intersections of sustainability, technology, and creativity. And one thing that I love about GatherVerse is the diversity of perspectives and the experts that you meet. So every session is very valuable, and I'm always taking notes and saying, aha moments during even the panels that I do. So I appreciate that.
Wow, we love that. You're welcome. Stephanie, over to you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Stephanie Sylvester, and I'm on this roundtable panel because I believe in the importance of having everyone use AI, and that while people are concerned about job loss, that with AI properly implemented and responsibly deployed, you can actually increase jobs. And
Hmm.
so I want to advocate that in this
Hmm.
panel.
We'll look forward to hear more of that. We want to learn. Professor Dr. Sakar, happy to have you once again. Tell us who you are.
Yes, so this is Professor Dhruvashi Sharkar from Kolkata, India. Currently, I'm working as a professor with NSHM Knowledge Campus. I did my PhD in computer science, specifically in machine learning, and I'm attached to it, the GatherVerse event since last year, because the noble cause the GatherVerse is having to making people aware, and definitely for not only the machine is going to solve all the problems, humans are also required, and at the same time sustainability needs to be considered, trust needs to be considered. So the topic that GatherVerse and its organizing team is going to identify, that attracts me a lot, and this is the reason I am here to listen to other panelists, esteemed panelists, and to update my knowledge also, to share my knowledge and update myself.
You're welcome. And we're here to listen to all of you. As Christopher said, this is where people are heard. Whitney, over to you. Tell us who you are.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Whitney Hart, and I am the Chief Strategy Officer at Avenue Z. We are a marketing and communications firm focused on AI, both large language models and how they are ingesting data to serve up answers to the users, as well as then how organizations and individuals are using AI more effectively in day-to-day life. Additionally, I have a curatorial and cultural advisory practice focused on art and technology. And I've worked with institutions like MoMA, the Serpentine, the Musée d'Orsay on blockchain, artificial intelligence, and extended reality.
You're welcome. We're very happy to have you here. I am not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm gonna
Yeah.
need your help. I'm gonna need your help. And please tell us who you are. And if I butcher your name, kindly forgive me, but teach me how to pronounce it.
No issues, Lynn. I was expecting that. Okay, good morning, everyone. So this is Srinivasan Pakirisamy. Lynn, you can call me Srini. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm currently director at SPL Consulting Inc. I have 2 decades of implementing, leading various complex digital transformation projects. Um, so throughout this journey, I learned a lot of things, and what I feel is that technology amplifies how we work, and the humanity is the one actually defines why we work. So with that mantra in mind, so I want to contribute in the GatherVerse to share my knowledge, at the same time gain a lot of learnings from others and their point of view as well.
Thank you, Srini. I think I did it right.
Yeah.
All right, we welcome you. Maritza, I hope I also pronounced it right. If I didn't, please correct me. Let's go.
Hi. Yes. Hi. Good morning. It's Marisa. Close. It was close. Marisa
Thank
Zalavak.
you.
I am here. I'm calling in from New York. I am I'm the founder, co-founder of the Global Alliance for Digital Education and Sustainability, which is called GAIDS, or we refer to as GAIDS. I'm also the co-chair of AI Ethics Education with IEEE, and have helped contribute to the standards, particularly on synthetic emotions in AI, which is one of the relevant pieces here. I'm an AI ethicist. I'm a psychologist. I'm not an engineer. I'm a psychologist. I'm an AI ethicist and a transdisciplinary specialist. And the thing I point that out because one of the things about GatherVerse that brings me here into Christopher's work is the idea of being able to reach people in all places, which is what transdisciplinary does, which goes far beyond interdisciplinary. So that is why I'm here and grateful to be here.
Wow, we're also grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for your precious time, each and every one of you. And for our audience, kindly feel free to engage with this awesome panelist here. Now, I want to recap something that Christopher said yesterday, and it's going to touch across what we're talking about. He said, as long as you have a heart, you are more valuable than any powerful machine that is here or is going to come. But let's go a little bit deeper on that. When machines contribute, what remains uniquely human? What is having a heart look like? What does that mean? And, I'm going to open the floor, starting with you, Marisa. Is being human more about being present the way we are right now? Or is it about doing what we do? Or what makes us really human that separates us from machines? And anyone can chime in on that. But I want to get your thoughts first, Marisa.
Thank you. The two things come to mind first. One is there's an old adage, and I'm sorry to say I'm forgetting who it was, but we humans are a being, not a doing. That is what we are, right? We do things, but we are beings. And to couple that just from a very scientific perspective, not just a theoretical perspective, but also a scientific perspective, humans, we are literally formed and created constantly by something called phenotypic plasticity. It's quantum. We are literally made of stardust. That's not a joke, and it's not woo-woo. We are literally made of stardust. And we change every single day, every single second. We are changing. And twins, even identical twins, cannot be the same. So when we ask what is unique about humans, when you're talking about machines or AI systems, which are machines, those are things that are they're replications, right? They're something that is a replication. We are humans by nature cannot be replications. From the second that we are born to the second we die, we are changing on an astrophysical level. So that changes our minds, our psyche, the way we experience the world and interact with the world. So any kind of imitation of that or simulation of that simply cannot be comparable. So going back to, it is a sort of, it's not a scientific word to say magic, but it is kind of the miracle We can't explain about why this happens, but we do know that it does happen. So to me, I would say, yes, we are beautifully, constantly changing beings.
Yes.
Cannot be compared to machines.
All right, all right. Does someone has a different perspective or they want to chime in on that? Dr. Satish, I saw you nodding to what she was saying. Perhaps you have something to add, or Camilla Sanders, please chime in.
Yeah, I agree with whatever the Marisa is saying. So what is happening is like in being present, right? Currently, so the main qualities I can say that human experiences, right, rather than machines are like empathy, vulnerability, and certain kind of imagination. So these kind of things, it's very hard for machines to get, and particularly I can say more connection and bonding as well. So
Yeah.
it should this quality should be exist because machines cannot replicate those kind of things, right? Machines
Yeah.
don't have creativity. So whatever we say, it will go ahead and do it. But
Oh.
someone needs to say those kind of things, right? So those kind of imagination or intuition, right, should be there from humans rather than
Mhm.
machines.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Camilla, yeah.
Sure. As people are talking, it makes me think of a lot of times as humans, we start to just do things. We're caught up in a system. We're almost like cogs in a system, speaking generally. Like we all know someone that doesn't necessarily always live out their humanity or their purpose or their why in their life. They're just working to come home with a paycheck and pay bills and stuck in that doing process. But I think now we're seeing that people are starting to align more with their humanity, with their purpose in life, and understanding why they're here. And I think that that uniqueness that we all talked about, leaning more into that, is what makes us human. And I think that that's what we're starting to see now is
Mhm.
people discovering like, what is my purpose? And then that drives you and that connects you more to your humanity.
Wow. So when we're talking about purpose, you say that now people are not focused on so much of doing what they do. They're not being defined by what they do, but what they are called to do, if I'm getting that right. And Professor, I see you ready to chime in. Do you have something to that? And I'm gonna come to you, Whitney. I see your face as well. But please, Doctor, tell us your view.
Okay, so I just in continuation, whatever esteemed panelists have added. Look, I believe so that in a world where machine can do, right? What remains distinctively human is our capacity to be, like to notice, to feel, to connect, that a machine, I think, cannot do. The presence, the ability to inhabit a moment, to respond with empathy and recognizing things, events, defines our experience in ways that no algorithm can replicate.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I can tell it in one sentence, like doing can be outsourced, being cannot be. And as a human, we're
Mm.
being, not doing, right? So this is
Ah,
what my
ah,
perspective.
that is so solid. I couldn't agree more. Whitney, what is your take on this?
Echoing what a lot of others have said, I think today, especially over the last 9 months, with the rise of large language models and general societal adoption of these new AI tools, the real divide is growing between awareness and automation,
Mhm.
between living consciously and letting our tools live for us. So, machines are always going to be better at doing. They're never going to tire or hesitate. They're running 24/7, 365 in the background. If you set up your large language model and large language models correctly, it can execute for you all the time. But ultimately, humanity is living in this tension between presence and purpose, and action
Mhm.
and awareness. And what's really defining humanity is not that we act, but that we're reflecting on our actions and we're asking, why should something be done at all? What does it mean once it is completed? How do we move forward from that? So I think especially with the rise of AI and everyone turning to ChatGPT, attention really has become the new scarcity. Every
Hmm.
day, between using ChatGPT or social media or any app on your phone, we as humanity are nudged towards distraction, speed, infinite scrolls, and predictive systems that are finishing our thoughts before we even have them. And so presence in that world is not passive, but it's rebellion. It's an act of rebellion and a conscious act of reclaiming our agency as human in a culture, a technology-driven culture that's ultimately profiting from our absence. So to go back to the question, is being human more about being present than doing? I would say that I don't think either of those is right. I would say, are we awake? Are we self-aware inside these systems we've built? And are we examining our motivations, our biases, our footprint to really reflect on what we're doing and why we're doing it?
Yeah, that is very reflective, and thank you for putting that across. Stephanie, I'm shifting gears to even the creative side of things. So many of us have mentioned the creative side of things, but I'm coming to you, Stephanie and Shrivi. What inequalities distinguish the human experience if machines can replicate reasoning, prediction, and creativity? Stephanie, I want to hear from you.
I would start by saying that we have heart. So we humans need to be able to be touched, communicate, uh, interacted, and communicated on a physical level. So something as simple as somebody holding your hand, shaking your hand when you meet them, hugging,
Yeah.
being touched. Even if you have robots that can do that, it's still a metallic. The actual skin to skin. It's why people have pets to create a kind of bond. But even when you have a pet, the pet can't speak to you in a manner that a human can. And I believe that as AI evolves, what we'll see happen is that the AI will offload all of this work and all this doing that
Yeah.
we have become so enamored with, that and use as an excuse for not to spend human to human time. And so now you're going to be left with a choice to say, I don't want to be with I don't want to be with you. I can't spend time with you because I don't want to be with you, as opposed to using work. And so I believe that with AI, if implemented responsibly, actually moves us closer to human connections. I will now have no excuse why I can't sit and talk to Whitney.
Yes.
The second piece of it is, with the proliferation of deep fakes, I will need to get to know Whitney on a human level, so that when I see something, I will be able to discern if that is truly coming from Whitney or not. So again, it's
Yes.
going to push us back to this need to meet people. And because I won't be able to interact with Whitney in a room with 100 other people, we're going to be forced to have these small, intimate gatherings. And so, because we're going to be forced to have these small, intimate gatherings, what we'll have is we'll re reinforce the ties and the bonds of humanity in a way that makes us less human, makes us feel more whole.
Yes.
I would profess or hope that would
Yeah.
make us kinder and gentler to each other, and kinder and gentler to ourselves. And so
Wow.
that's kind of the way that we're pushing AI, is the concept of, if we can use AI to help improve your self agency and self efficacy, then you feel good about yourself. You're
Yes.
not going to be walking around trying to rain terror onto somebody else that does not look like you, that does not sound like you, does not believe what you believe. You're going to
That's right.
be confident with yourself. So that's where I say that machines are not going to be able to do that. Humans will. And with the help of machines, I believe we can get back there.
Oh, all right, all right. Stephanie, that was a very interesting angle. And actually, I would recommend, if you're just sitting next to someone, you can just hold them and tell them, I love you. That is just one thing we can always say to each other than a machine, and we mean it. Shrini, Tell me your angle. What do you think about this? If machines can reason, they can predict, they can create. What else?
So they obviously, Lynn, they can do all of this.
Yeah.
As someone said, they are the master of doing. They will be master of the doing. Okay, if we are trying to compete in doing, definitely we cannot beat the machines, right? So
Mm-hmm.
with the training data and the modern technology, when it emerges, definitely their reasoning, prediction, creativity will go up and up. They will be able to do a lot of more things. But what they cannot do, I will pose a certain questions, right? Say.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you a program to a machine to code it. It will code perfectly within fraction of seconds and give it to me. But the same code which a human being, which is written 3 a.m. in the morning after having a lot of
Yeah.
cup of coffees, and the feeling after when it executes without error, right? That is what the differentiation between the machine and human being. Okay, there
Yeah.
are so many other examples. Say, example, I can love somebody, but for some reason I can get angry with them. I am
Mm-hmm.
loving so much, but I also have angry with them for a reason. So these kind of complex emotions, right? That is what differentiate that qualities, what differentiate us from machine.
Yes, I really resonate with the emotions aspect of things. I am not certain. Are we gonna get to a place where machines are gonna get emotions? I am not certain. Perhaps someone can tell me out there in the audience as we shift to the other question. And I'm bringing it over to you, Marisa, and then I'm gonna come to you, Whitney, and then Dr. Satish. Can human emotions actually? This is just the next question. Can human emotions and senses remain beyond the reach of computers, no matter how sophisticated they are? Do you see a place where human emotions and senses can be duplicated by machines?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, and it's one that we debated quite a bit. So we just created 2 standards with IEEE on emulated empathy or synthetic emotions in AI.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the huge challenges and problems there is people, even humans, understanding the emotions that we have that are involuntary. So many of our emotions that we have, we are sensing, right? Our emotion leads to behavior. Behavior is communication. Can machines duplicate that? They can duplicate something that was, but not something that is in that moment. There are ways to, there are differences in also empathy, huge differences in what empathy means. Just the definition. I'm sorry, I've got ambulance down the street. Huge difference in what the definition of empathy is. There's cognitive empathy. That's what machines do. It's feeding in what is translated that a human being, how would a human being would describe that. I'm so sorry about the ambulance.
It's okay. It's okay.
Emotional empathy is a different thing. That's what most people think of as emotional, as empathy, which is I feel this, right? I'm sensing this, I feel this. And then there's cognitive empathy, that kind of compassionate empathy, excuse me, that combines the feeling with intention to do something that was described before, right? And I'm sorry, I forget whose name it was. You were describing this idea of touching another person, being with another person in that moment. It's an emergent thing. Emotion is emergent. And so taking a predictable system and copying it is only just rehashing something, but it is actually not allowing for the sensation and the spirituality. And the thing is, there is a quality that goes beyond what we comprehend, very often referred to as spirituality, but it's really important that we really, it's about the desire. Why would, I'm just going to switch it and I'll end with this. Why would we want a machine to feel for us? Why? What would that do in the world? What is the impact on society? What is the impact on interpersonal relationships that we are seeing with with very troublesome relationships in companion chatbots?
Yes,
right.
I agree.
Right. So I'll end there, but I would actually really beg people, ask better questions. Rather than this is how we think about it and this is what it is, because this is stuff that's very new.
Yes, Marisa,
Better
I'm
question.
going to come back to you on that because it's going to get heavier as we continue. And I believe what you just expressed was in depth. And, Whitney, I see you agreeing to what Marisa is saying. Please tell us your thoughts.
I am. It's funny just thinking about my own experiments with using Grok's Annie and the new chatbots that they're rolling out and the constant iterations and updates of new outfits and hairstyles and personalization you can put on the AI. It's really quite remarkable. But to take a step back, that's a bit of a tangent. What I wanted to say uh, for the question itself, and this sort of bridges the prior question in this one. There's a quote from an artist named Claire Silver that I love. She said, AI is a camera for the imagination. If a camera is for everything that is, AI is a camera for everything that isn't. And I really love that framing because it positions AI as a medium, not a mind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it extends human imagination outward, but it doesn't originate on its own. And I think it's important to consider how this framing extends beyond prompting. It really begins with the training data itself, the raw
Yes.
material that we are uploading and allowing these systems to learn from. So every data set, data set is encoding choices, values, and blind spots.
Yeah.
I do a handful of writing about the legal cases against the large language model
Yes.
parent companies and the data sets that they've used for their training data. And in an article I wrote about Bart's versus Anthropic, I emphasized that robots.txt is the invite list for the next generation of search. And I would say the same is true of culture. What we permit these
Right.
systems to absorb determines the contours of their knowledge. And ethical creativity is now requiring us to think about authorship not only in outputs, but in the
Yeah.
inputs itself. And so ultimately, that creative spark needs to come from the person behind the prompt, the emotion, the memory, the intent, the training data, the themes and concepts that they're trying to explore. And so I
That's right.
think that those human emotions and senses are really what is making us human. It's not just a signal, it's really
Yes.
the story itself.
That's right. That's right. Stephanie, something is burning in you. Please say it.
So I think that if you frame the question slightly different, you can configure an AI solution to integrate with you in a manner that makes it feel as if you are speaking to a human being.
Yes.
And I think that depending on your level of maturity and how vulnerable you are, you can actually really believe that you're talking to a human. I think that there's the where the issue comes in is being able to regulate some of those solutions, so don't allow you to just have anyone be able to create an AI agent that
Yes.
is able to replicate that. And I say that because we have successfully recreated about 25 human beings.
Hmm.
We
Wow.
we are we Our approach is we give them a personality questionnaire that's been developed by somebody that has a PhD in
Yeah.
personality questionnaire, and so we're extracting their personality, and then we interview them about their life, and just putting those two things together, and then we lined up their digital twins, and we all these different digital twins, and we asked each
Yeah.
one of them the same question. And while the answer was the same, the way they expressed the answer was directly related to their personality, and you could see the difference when you line them up together. So I know that it is possible because we are doing it, but I think
Yes.
what happens is now doing it responsibly.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Marisa, I'm gonna come to you. I see you. But let me just shift gears a little bit. I'm coming to you, Dr. Satish and Professor, and also Camila and Srini. In an era where machines excel at tasks beyond human capability, we were talking about doing. Machines are good at doing. How does that really impact humanity's sense of purpose? And I think we mentioned something to do with purpose, but how does it really impact humanity's sense of purpose? Dr. Satish, share your view on that.
Sure, it impacts more kind of humanity, I can say, because the main purpose, right, is generally it will shift towards creativity, more empathy, and meaning making. And other than that, uh, the human, right, they need to redefine their value, whatever the efficiency they are doing, right. So they should be beyond efficiency, and whatever the expected output is there, right, we need to reach more. Other than that, I can say, like, the challenge is not becoming like a competition between the machines and humans,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like complementary
Yes.
with missions with going forward. and
Mm,
I, and I can say, like, whatever the true purpose, right, I can say, like, it will endure in growth, and then the compassion and the pursuit of wisdom, I can say.
yes. All right. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Professor Sakar, what is your take on that as well?
Uh, if it is going to happen, then I think it is going to challenge us to redefine our purposes, right? So, what is the purpose of human lives? So, is basically we are actually shifting from competing with machines to complementing with machines.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be a paradigm shift. So
Yeah.
we must not go to compete with the machines, but we need to complementing with them, because you know that the automation and other routine jobs, routine complex tasks will be taken by the machines. So, as a human, our purpose, in my opinion, lies
Mm-hmm.
in nurturing the wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
ethics, creativity,
Yes.
compassion, and definitely collective well-being. These are the areas I believe that it will always remain irrepressible by the
Yes.
machines. This is my thought.
Yes, that is absolutely right. Camilla Sanders, what do you have to add on that?
Yeah, I think that, I agree with what has been said. With technology, we now have the space to be human and to innovate and be creative. And so I work with a lot of executives and people that own businesses. And with a lot of this automation and artificial intelligence, they have the space to innovate and create. And that is something, and I know we talked about a machine or technology imitating that creation, but there is something human where we create from our experiences, we create from our values, we create from what we want out in the world and from our purpose. And so there's a direction that we have, that we create and we innovate from the future. We solve problems from our perspective, right? And that's
Yes.
something that a machine cannot duplicate. So we see, like, with the rise of the creator economy, or even the gig economy, or the purpose economy, whatever you want to call it, we now, with these barriers being broken down, we don't need permission. We can create, we can just be ourselves, and that can generate income and connection with other human beings, and give us space to innovate the way that or to innovate with purpose and empathy the way that a machine can't necessarily do.
That is quite profound, and it really resonates. When we've just all expressed about emotions, can we just shift gears to the responsibility side of things? Shrini, I'm very curious. Can machines ever hold a moral responsibility, or does accountability always have to be human? Whose responsibility is this? Is it both? Is it machines, or is it us? Tell us your
It,
thoughts.
it's an interesting question, actually. But
Okay.
where we are now,
Mhm.
definitely we haven't there to say that machines has to take a responsibility. But when things are evolving in the future, it's a really interesting questions.
Mhm.
But there are fundamentally two things, Lane. One is the person who is executing or doing things
Mhm.
need to have an intent, what I'm trying to do, and
Mhm.
also they have to understand what is the consequences if I do at various outcomes. Machines runs on an algorithm. See, they can mimic, but whatever point we give inputs, training data, based on that, they learn and they can try to mimic the human, but
Yes.
never can have the same sense as a human being having. So if I do a mistake, the guilt which I'm feeling, machine can say what is guilt means, and it can define, it
Mm,
can put through all this, but it cannot go through the same pain I'm doing, which unknowingly I did something to someone. If I'm
yes.
feeling that guilt, that cannot be replicated. That sense cannot be replicated. Being said that, um, the one who actually creates all these or put the algorithms, which is human being, and
Mhm.
human being evolving the machines to serve the humanity, they are the accountable for, they have to take the responsibility.
Okay, so according to you, what I'm getting from what you're saying, human beings, it all goes to the human beings,
It's
right?
back, the chain goes back always to the human
To
being.
the human beings. All right, all right, all right. Does anyone have a different opinion on that? I
Yes,
see
yes.
Stephanie. Yeah. Stephanie, and then Dr. Sakar. Tell us your thoughts on that.
No, I 100% agree that as we build out these solutions, that humans are the ones that need to be accountable and responsible, and that
Yeah.
we're also promoting that you should not have any solution that does not have a human in the loop, because that is
Mm.
where irresponsibility creeps in, and bad things will happen. So we're all for humans in the loop, accountability and
Yes.
responsibility rest in the humans.
There you go. Professor and then Camilla Sanders. This is getting very heated. Professor, tell us your thoughts on that.
Yes, this is a very interesting question, and I am fully agree with whatever respected panelist has told. In continuation to the Srini's comments, I would like to tell that basically, look, if you would like to delegate the accountability to
Mhm.
machine, so this is the fundamental question: whether we should delegate the accountability to machines or not in future. So that means we want that we are actually we are going to a moral dimensions that is going to be handled by our
Mhm.
own creation, because machine is a creation of human. So that means you want to tell that delegation accountability to machines is basically risk absorbing
Mm.
ourselves of the moral dimensions of our creation. I think that should not be, that cannot be, that should not be, because it requires the intent Srini has already mentioned. It requires that consequences and definitely the ethical, like basically reasoning. It cannot be algorithm, right?
Mm, that is a thought-provoking sentiment there. Camilla, and I'm coming to you, Marisa. Camilla, what is your take on that?
Yeah, I just want to add that yes, it's important to have humans and humans are accountable, but it's also important to have diverse humans behind what is being created. So it can't just be a monolithic, just the same people behind those creations, especially when you're talking about artificial intelligence. It has to be diverse in any walks of life, ethnicity, empathy. Like you have to build, and that's really the accountability and the responsibility of the people that are building, but also the people that are listening to join in building, right? And
Yes.
have a voice, because we need that diversity and perspective with what we're building, because that is what is going to shape our future.
Definitely. Marisa, I'm going to join this question with the previous one that you wanted to contribute, and also Whitney and Dr. Satish. I want to hear from you on this. What role does imperfection and human limitations play in making humanity replaceable? We have weaknesses. I think that's why sometimes we innovate so much to replace our weaknesses, or to just to sub be a substitute to our weaknesses. But Marisa, perhaps you have a different view.
I can actually combine all three things for my
Yes,
last
please.
statement, which is the first one in terms of responsibility, anthropomorphizing of AI. Any
Mm-hmm.
advanced system designed to present itself as human is deception by deceit. It's designed by deception.
Mm-hmm.
Designed by deception. Anybody who would like to read it, please look at my work, but it is designed by deception. The goal is to convince the human that it is a human, not a machine. That
Mm.
is deception by design. So with that would be our errors. I'm going to just go right to the errors. And I loved, Camille, what you were talking about the diversity. I know I look the way I look, but it should not be all looking or sounding the way I look or sound. First of all, the other thing is that when our errors, just as an art, my first work was in arts and arts thinking. Our errors are where our emergent creativity comes from. Our errors, this is, ask any artist, and it doesn't matter which art form, they come from those things. So our errors are in fact some of that beautiful kind of soil that our most beautiful creativity and imagination comes from. But I really want to stress the idea, because I've done a huge amount of work with humanoid robots and getting mind files that was described before, absorbing mind files. Things that this is not about human maturity. This is not. It's called blurral. It's mental entanglement. It's dual consciousness state. This is happening to people who are very, very mentally sound, and so this is really an important point that I always feel like I really need to make. We can use this for good, but I would like to see us be really, really highly careful about the anthropomorphizing.
Oh, wow. Marisa, as I'm listening to you, I just feel like I want to take as much notes as I can. And when I'm listening to all of you, I need my notebook stack. And Whitney, what is your take? I see you agreeing with what Marisa is saying. What do you think?
I completely agree with what the prior two have said, actually. I was
Yes.
going to chime in prior and say that, when I talked about Claire Silver, I was talking about the way creativity begins with the training data. And ultimately, I would say on top of that, morality begins with the design, the inputs that we're selecting, the guardrails we're enforcing, the systems of governance that we're building around these models. Every data set, model, and line of code is carrying the values of the people who shaped it. So it's so important to think about who is contributing, how they're contributing, and those inputs. And when it comes to imperfection and human limitations, AI is seeking precision, it's seeking perfection, and that perfection in and of itself is flattening this experience into predictability. And that imperfection is opening the space for empathy, for interpretation, for growth. And it's through this failure that Merce was talking about, it's through this failure that we're developing conscience. It's through doubt that we're developing discernment. And so I think that ultimately imperfection and human limitations are extremely important in how we can bring all of these data sources and information together in building these tools for the future and for the betterment of society.
Whitney, that is well put. Dr. Satish, you were leaning in as she was talking. What was on your mind?
My mind, like I can say, whatever the mistakes that we are doing, right, it will drive more kind of innovation, I can say, and more creativity and more adaptation as well. And other than that, whatever the generally humans have unpredictable nature, right? So most of the unpredictable nature, right, what it will do is like it will try to inspire more art and love as well. And this kind of imperfection, right, it will mainly it will foster humanity, and everyone are open to learn new things, whatever the things that are coming up, right, they need to adapt and they need to learn. And other than that, it can create more kind of empathy as well, because if some people, if they don't know, they will struggle and they will try to figure it out how it needs to be done. So this kind of limitations, it will create empathy as well. And other than that, this kind of things, right, it will create emotional connection and care as well between different people.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And when I was listening to all of you on that point of view and discussion, it just wants me to take it a notch higher, because we were talking about weaknesses, and these are just some of the things that humans go through. And because of that, can machines also remind us to reflect on what truly matters, not just alone, not to do with weaknesses? What else can machines remind us to reflect on? What matters to human, and what cannot be outsourced? What really cannot be outsourced? And I want to get to hear from you, Camila. I want to get to hear from you, Srini. But Camila, take it off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to what Stephanie said, right? About the human touch, right? That's something that you just like there's going to be certain occupations and things that we do that are not going to be able to be replaced. And it's almost an intangible thing that we can't explain. I'm sure some of us on this can actually give, more explanation, but it's like that human touch, that human connection, just being able to understand each other on a deeper level. That is what cannot be outsourced to any technology. And it's also just having that space and time, that's we're going to be reminded of, whether we like it or not, is hey, we need to have this space and time to innovate and to create, and it's going to force us to do those things that are really just being human. And I love what was said about, the deep fakes. We're not going to know what what is real and what is not, but that is going to, in a way, force us to talk to the people that we are connected with and get our source directly from the source, and talk to those people and connect with those people in a way that we can't do virtually and through technology, because we're not going to know, what is real and what is not. And so we're going to be forced to have those connections.
That is profound. Srini, and then I'm going to come to you, Stephanie. Srini, what is your thoughts?
Yes, Lynn, add to that, right? So the very basic purpose of any living being is living itself, right? But somewhere in the process, I feel that majority of us tilted towards doing as the main purpose than living. Okay. So now when machines are outsmarting us in the doing, let them do the work for us and let them complete the doing, and you go back and find your living. Okay. What do we do? Make connections, which in the digital world, if you see my kid, even to talk, right, I need to find a time to do that. So put that machines away, then come back, make connections, show empathy, and find the meaning or purpose for the life. That is what machines are telling us now. Okay, doing is not your main purpose, go and live.
That's right. Stephanie, I want to hear what you have to say on this.
So I believe that we're at a crossroads right now where some people are trying to use AI to replace human beings and to be able to do all that stuff. And Avatar Buddy absolutely believes that is the wrong implementation. So we're using the word wrong, like we're being judgmental with it, because if you are soft and you're kind of like navigating through, what ends up happening is that your message gets lost. AI should be used, and when used properly, when configured properly, should be used to help us be more of a human being, not less. It means that it should be configured responsibly so that we can get our jobs done in an accurate, more faster way, so we have time to spend with other humans in our lives. It should be used in a way that helps us feel good about ourselves so that we can move past the fear of rejection and go and talk to that person across the room that we want to speak to but we're afraid of. If used properly, it should be telling us every single advice that it gives you should be included in there, should say, by the way, go talk to a human being. And when somebody says that's not possible, it is possible, because that's what we do. Every single one of our AI agents that's created has a component that's empathetic, that reminds people that they are good, they're capable, and that any problem that they have must be solved in conjunction with a human being. And this is not a complex thing to do. It's not uber complex to do. And where we're falling down is that certain companies don't want to implement those things, because then people would be like, will start thinking for themselves will
Mm-hmm.
start questioning some of the messages that they've been
Yeah.
given, that we've been given, and then the whole economic structure start to wobble. And
Yeah.
I'm here to say that we should make it wobble, because it's only with wobbling and possibly knocking it over that we get to a point where everybody in the world has an opportunity to live into their full potential, to be their best self. And AI is able to do that in a cost
Yeah.
effective way if we decide as humanity, as a group of humans, that that's the direction we should go. And we're at a crossroads right now, and I'm very concerned, which is why I spend my time coming on podcasts, that we are going down the wrong path.
Mm-hmm.
And that if maybe just one person on this podcast leaves and
Yeah.
says, you know what, I'm not going to co-sign on what is being pushed. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to think about this differently, and I'm going to ask the difficult questions. And if
Yes.
a
Definitely.
product refuses to give me what I need, then I'm going to go to the other product, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
empowered as a human being. That's
That's right.
what
That's
I
right.
believe AI can help us do.
Yeah, and LSA, absolutely, Stephanie. Stephanie, I was listening to you, and I was just curious, why don't we just why don't we have even the systems just telling you, after taking my advice, go talk to a human too. Go talk to a human. And that for me was a key takeaway. Professor Dr. Shakar, do you have something to add on that?
Like
Your mic,
what
please.
I
Yeah.
think. Okay, like am I audible now?
Yeah, yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So, in my opinion, as day by day the machines advance, they serve as a mirror, in my opinion, right? So, they're urging us to focus on the basic human qualities that we think machine cannot do, like the relationship building, just now you have pointed out, values, the wisdom, and definitely the purpose. So, they can handle functions, but not meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is this actually remind us that the few features, like say, suppose kindness, the ethical judgment, the cultural continuity, love,
Yeah.
these cannot and should not be outsourced. So
Mm-hmm.
as that must be with the human. And I do remember, as I'm sure you all know about Rabindranath Tagore, who is from the same place where I belong. So Tagore is having many such songs, philosophical songs. In one song, he has mentioned that the universe, the earth, the creation is only because of as human is there.
Yes.
We see that the moon is beautiful because we see the moon and then we can express. Moon
Mm-hmm.
was there since long, but then when human sense those the consciousness was not there, moon was not in expressed. So
Mm.
these are the
That's
unique
right.
qualities that the human are having, and I'm sure that we must inculcate this part, in my opinion.
That is very profound. I'm seeing my time. I see it like a bell ring on my end, and our time is very short, but we're gonna finish this briefly. And I want to hear from every one of you when it comes to responsibility and the message to the future generation. So, what responsibility do we carry in teaching future generations to treasure what remains uniquely human, especially in a generation where young kids are now they're getting into the world where they have already gadgets. They have gadgets in their hands as small as 1 year old. So I want us to just give a message briefly, 1 second each. And I want to start with you, Marisa. What would you tell the future generations?
What I would ask or invite the future generations, because I
Yeah.
don't think anybody likes to be told, uh, is to ask better questions, ask
Mm,
more questions,
all right.
ask better
All right.
questions, more questions,
All right.
even
Thank
questions
you
that
for that.
can't be answered. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Ask more questions. Whitney, briefly, what is your takeaway for future generation?
My takeaway is that what remains uniquely human is the ongoing act of awareness, and
Mm,
that is an act that needs to be renewed and protected and practiced every day. To me, the question is not if machines are going to replace us, but if we are
Yes.
going to remember how to stay awake inside our own creation. So my
Oh.
prompt for future generations would be
Mhm.
to choose consciousness in a world that makes unconsciousness so easy every single day.
Thank you. Shrini, briefly, what is your future generation talk?
Yeah, I'll make it very simple. So don't try to be a human computer or machine, right? You be a human being. You're not a machine. So yeah, just be a
Be a human. Thank you so much. Be a human being. Dr. Satish, what is your message to future generations?
So my message is like we need to preserve the storytelling and whatever the human rituals that are practicing, right? It should go on. And the other
Mm.
thing, they should respect technology and it limits as well, and it's how it limits as well. Yeah.
Keep your stories. Keep your stories. Camila, what do you have?
Yeah, for people teaching future generations or even future generations, I would say actions speak a lot louder than words. And think about the things that are human to you, that bring humanity, whether that's talking to someone, connecting with someone, having a conversation. Do the things that a machine can't do, that the things that don't make sense, like love when
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense to love, give when it doesn't make sense to give,
Mhm.
hug people when it doesn't make sense to hug. Don't be afraid to make that sacrifice and do the illogical thing, because that is what makes us human and that is what helps us to build a better world together.
Thank you. Stephanie, what do you have?
I would just remind people of the old IT thing that says garbage in, garbage out. In the AI world, it's garbage in, toxic waste out. So we need to be very careful and intentional about how we're using AI systems and what we put in them, because what we put in them can produce toxic waste that's beyond belief.
Thank you so much. Professor, what do you tell your future students?
Yes, in my education as a teacher, I think the education should focus not just on technical skills, but on empathy, creativity, critical thinking, social responsibility, and most importantly, the concept of sustainability. Because if the earth sustains, then only all of us will sustain. Thank
All
you.
right, and there we go. I hope future generations will look at this tomorrow and will say, we had a panel here at GatherVerse who taught us how to live in this age of acceleration. As for me and my dear panelists, I will gather as well for this roundtable. Please follow these panelists, connect with them. They have something meaningful to show you, they have something to tell you, and I will gather as well. Thank you so much. Over to you, GatherVerse team.
Thank you.